In the headlines, the Labour Minister warns employers about issuing short-term contracts for permanent positions. A bill aimed at protecting the elderly to be laid in Parliament next week. Efforts underway to diversify Barbados' economy. And in sports, changes to schedule for the 2025 National Senior Games.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Good evening to you and welcome. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. A warning to employers tonight about the growing practice of issuing short-term contracts to fill permanent positions. Minister of Labour, Social Security and the Third Sector, Colin Jordan, is reminding businesses this is unacceptable. He says decent work requires some level of security of tenure. Minister Jordan made the remarks while speaking at the St. Peter Regathering 2025 Pride of Barbados Award ceremony at State House.
Now, there are times when employing organizations or businesses, other types of organizations will have need for people to work for short periods. Now, in those cases, in those genuine cases, then you cannot suggest that a person, I could not ask somebody to hire me for 2 years to work on a project that is expected to last for 6 months, for example. But what we do not accept is for permanent positions for persons to be put on 3 months contracts that keep rotating, when you need a permanent full-time person. We do not accept that. And we discourage employing organizations from doing that.
Minister Jordan says in order to give workers job security, employers need to make the right decisions during the recruitment process.
Do not do strange things at recruitment and then be crying afterward and then try to do strange things afterward. You make good decisions at recruitment and you treat workers well, you ought to have a relatively good work space, work area, world of work for everybody to be able to benefit from. What we do not accept any exploitation, and government always works to identify areas of exploitation if we think we see any, and we address.
Cabinet is in receipt of the proposed draft legislation aimed at protecting the elderly. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey, says the bill will be laid in Parliament before the end of March. He says it will allow government to do more.
Having that bill allows us to do things that we can't now do. People come to me all the time, they say, Minister, I know so-and-so is being abused. The NAB doesn't have the power right now to go into anybody's house. They can't remove an elderly person from a position of abuse. But the new bill allows us certain privileges, certain authority, done under, obviously, a very strict regime that does not allow anybody to take advantage of anybody, but similar to what we do in the Child Protection Bill.
And Minister Humphrey, who now has added responsibility for crime prevention, wants senior Barbadians to take steps to ensure they are safe.
To be mindful of their environment, when they're walking to and fro places. I think I would also encourage, as I did during the Well of Parliament, for Barbados to become a little bit better lit at night so that women particularly feel safe as they walk to and fro. We can't be encouraging people to walk in darkness. And of course, as you get older, you're a little bit more vulnerable, and just to make sure that our seniors are safe.
Trade will be exploring new areas of economic activity to diversify Barbados' economy. That's according to Minister Kerry Simmons, who says similar to what has occurred in the United States, it is necessary to define what Barbados understands to be the best possible trade policy there is. He was speaking as he led off discussion on the annual estimates 2025 to 2026 for his ministry.
and to use and leverage the influence that we have within CARICOM to make sure that we can have a regional trade policy which equally focuses on the strategic priorities of this region. It has to be smarter, it has to be more diversified in my judgment. And Mr. Chairman, just to give you a few examples of some of the things that we are thinking about, we have to link that trade policy to our industrial policy.
Further, Minister Simmons says, as a small island developing state, Barbados has to be more strategic in its endeavors than it has ever been, and the country will be positioning itself with strategic thinkers going forward.
We have had a history of episodic responses to challenges without necessarily being strategic. The first point I would want to make to this honorable chamber is that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has adopted a posture and intends to continue to adopt that posture for the foreseeable future of being far more strategic, as we now live in an era where it is vital for strategic thinking, and we have to come together, not only on our part, but come together with other like-minded states in this region and outside of the region in the context of alliances and partnerships that are strategically structured.
Several students of the University of the West Indies Cayfield campus staged a protest demanding action to urgently address their issues. These students, who carried placards and chanted, were seen outside the Office of Student Services. One of the students, who preferred not to speak on camera, tells CBC News their complaints have gone unanswered.
Well, we're protesting because there are a myriad of problems that we continue to express or continue to have at this school. And we've exacerbated all necessary platforms, all necessary channels to express our opinion, and we cannot continue to operate under these umbrellas. So today we are protesting, we are standing up, and we're letting them know that this stifling of student morale at the school needs to change.
It is understood the protest was halted after UWI officials intervened with campus security and members of the Barbados Police Service. Repeated efforts to get a comment from campus officials were unsuccessful up to news time. Well, coming up, students show off their fine art skills. Now to news that a man is being sought by the Barbados Police Service. He is Enrico Malik Williams, who is wanted for questioning in connection with serious criminal matters. Police say Williams, whose last known address is Beebe's Lane, St. Michael, is 5 feet 6 inches in height, of slim build, and has a brown complexion. He is advised he can present himself to the Criminal Investigations Department at the District A police station, accompanied by an attorney of his choice. Anyone who may know the whereabouts of wanted man Enrico Malik Williams is asked to contact Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, or call the nearest police station. Meanwhile, police are conducting investigations into an unnatural death which occurred at Charnock's No. 2 in Christchurch last evening. The deceased has been identified as 67-year-old Michael Eversley of the same address. Police Communications and Public Affairs Officer Inspector Ryan Brathwaite gave an update at the scene. He also expressed condolences to Mr. Eversley's family.
Police at District B Boarded Hall received a call this evening about 16:40 hours of a male being trapped under a vehicle. On the arrival of the police, it was observed that the male was trapped to the right side of the vehicle. Ambulance service was contacted and personnel arrived, conducted an examination of the body, and found that there were no signs of life. A medical doctor subsequently arrived at the scene and pronounced death.
Sports is just ahead with our Damien Best. Well, it's time to tackle today's sports highlights with Damien Best.
Yes, good evening to you, Tisha. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. First up, this year will be the 21st edition of the annual National Senior Games, and organizers of the event have announced a few changes to the schedule. The aim is to draw more competitors and greater crowd support. CBC's Anne Margaret Boyce has the details.
This year, the National Senior Games will take on a new format, with a single day dedicated only to track and field at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex, a move that Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kurt Humphrey says was endorsed by the stakeholders. Speaking during the official launch, Minister Humphrey indicated that the one-day schedule was welcomed by the competitors and clubs.
The last few years we were doing it for over 2 days. It is going to be 1 day this year, and that allows persons to have more time with their families and so on. We've had conversations with a number of athletes, and they've told us that they prefer the 1 day. Also, I think in relation to the crowd participation and the number of activities that are going on during the month of June.
Coordinator Itanya Wiggins told the audience that the games must remain attractive, sustainable, and impactful. She further outlined some of the events on the cards.
The event now moves from 1 or 2 days to span a series of things. We're definitely going to be looking, and we will be partnering with the regathering committees. We've had discussions with them. How that looks, we're still building it out. We're also going to be having an event in September. This event is where we're going to bring all of the sporting bodies together in one area, like a real old-time Bajan fair, but with activities and movement.
The Senior Games will once again feature other disciplines, including dominoes and archery. And more Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Blackman and Gollop Primary dominated both the boys and girls divisions today of the Ryan Brathwaite Zone at the 2025 Chefette Frosties NAPSAC. Held at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex, Blackman and Gollop took the boys' title with a 312 points margin ahead of Wikicumberbatch in second on 264. St. Catherine's Primary and St. Lawrence T. Gay Memorial were tied for third with 112 points apiece. Meantime, Blackman and Gollop beat Wikicumberbatch for the girls' title, amassing 271.50 points. Wilkie total 250.50 with St. Mark's Primary third, 116. Here's a look at some of the record performances from the 100 meters.
Lots to talk about for the Ryan Brathwaite Zone of NAPSAC 2025. Into the heat of the action, this is the under-9 girls. First up, Section 3. The record in this one, 16.71 seconds. Somebody give Nathalia Grazette Boyce the green light to attack it. And boy, did she make the Lawrence T. Gay Memorial posse go wild. Never veered off course. Crosses the line in 16.69 seconds. That is a new record. Way back in second was Tazaya Brown-Smith. And third, Karima Hope Best of Gordon Greenwich Primary. Step up to the under-11 girls. Shaquila Benjamin Morris in lane 3 will dust them off for Blackman and Gollop in 14.71 seconds. Itej Isak Griffith, second, 15.79. Third, Tania Dotton of Ellerton Primary. The boys' equivalent produced 2 record performances from guess who? Blackman and Gollop. The first was in Section 1. Jerry Beckles in lane 7 looking to lower his record time from last year of 14.48. Legs and arms pumping, looks in peak form, had absolutely no traffic, wins in 14.05. Second was Renai Pierre Wong of LT Gay, and third, Amelie Sobers of Ellerton Primary. Well, Jaden Calendar saw the mark laid down by a schoolmate and said, more licks must shear. He's in the middle of your screen, high knee lift and matching arms. Made this an example of putting in the hard work and reaping the rewards. Definitely the one to beat at NAPSAC finals, 13.74 seconds. The new record holder, outstanding indeed. Second was Jamari Thomas of Wilkie Cumberbatch, 14.78. And third, Ada Costa Edwards athlete, Damari Downs. And finally to the under 13 boys, curtain closer on your highlight reel. He's built different and seemed to be years ahead of the competition. Jelani Phillips of Wilkie Cumberbatch, equaling his record set last year of 13.45 seconds. The headband for aerodynamics, no problems at all. Second place, Jazari Graham of St. Mark's, 13.95. And third, Rolando Blackman Carrington of LT Gay. That's a wrap on the Ryan Brathwaite Zone.
Well, the Angela Blackett Zone from 10 a.m. tomorrow will bring the curtain down on zonal action at NAPSAC 2025. That is the first half in sports. When we come back, we've got lots more.
Well, one thing's clear. We definitely have to start getting ready for senior sports, Damien.
Already ready.
All right, thank you. Coming up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. Sandy's Jewels at Charnock's Christchurch is a one-stop shop for special gifts and special occasions. The local business was among the exhibitors that added diversity to the recently concluded AgroFest 2025. Owner and manager Sandra Trotman tells the Business Report she has been operating for the past 20 years. Trevor Thorpe has the story.
Sandra Trotman brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the marketplace, producing the perfect gifts for special occasions. Rings, necklaces, bracelets are among her specialities.
I mainly make like wire jewelry, the beads, and macrame bags.
In giving some background on her operation, she said she has added something new to her tried and tested lines, which includes beads, pearls, pendants, and polymer clay.
I have been making jewelry for the past 20 years, and I have decided to add crochet bags to the line as well.
Expansion is in her plans, but she admits that creating the pieces for her operation is time-consuming.
Some pieces are more work than some, so it takes a little time to do some of them.
And the bags?
Well, some bags take a little time also. To finish one probably within an hour or so. Depends on the size.
Pop-ups and securing a location are in her plans for the future. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Hey, thanks, Trevor. Definitely some beautiful pieces. Now, school children are still showing an interest in expressing their fine art skills. This was made clear as schools in the north came together to put on an art exhibition this week. Anesta Henry was there.
Art is very much alive in the island schools. A very clear picture of this reality was painted this week as the 4 secondary schools in the north, including the Alexandra School, Coleridge and Parry, Darrell Jordan, and the Allen School collaborated to pull off a fine arts fusion, a visual and music exhibition. Coleridge and Parry hosted the week of activities, and the head of the Fine Arts Department at that school, Calvin Carrington, says the event was designed to show Barbadians that there is a wealth of talent in the northern parishes.
We are hoping that with the exhibits, it gives inspiration to the students who are coming through the schools. Some are in the CSEC program.
And several of the students who made submissions to the visual art exhibition said they are pleased to showcase their talents. Coleridge and Parry's Anissa Power says it is a joy to transfer her ideas to artistic creations.
I like the expression that you could form on paper. Really and truly, it is a hobby for me. However, I do find enjoyment in partaking in it.
Alexandra student Victoria Hanif, who has been drawing from a young age, developed a strong passion for art after participating in a community development arts program.
Barbados, I haven't been seeing art being pushed as seriously. So when I saw the community development arts and my teacher was international, etc., I got a motivation for it. And since then, I was pushing my art.
Alia Map from the Allen School says she takes pride in using recyclable material to create art pieces.
Fabric from old clothing, shoelaces, paper clips, and like sometimes when I need to get paint, I just scrape it out from the tube itself.
Darrell Jordan's student Angel Thompson wants to be a general surgeon, but she enjoys art. In 2024, Ms. Thompson won a National Independence Festival of Creative Arts Gold Award in the Visual Arts category.
I love art because it's a way of communication for me, so I can communicate and express my emotions to others, and it helps me to tell out my story in each piece of art pieces.
A music festival was also held as part of the Fine Arts Fusion. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Time now to look at how stocks performed locally and regionally today.
In Jamaica, Victon Energy Limited with 5,040,706 units was the volume leader, followed by Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial and the Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, LJ Williams Limited B was the volume leader with 48,173 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $36,129.75, followed by the West Indian Tobacco Company Limited. And here in Barbados, Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC Value Fund was the volume leader, trading 8,000 shares at Barbados 54 cents each, and they were followed by Cape Shepherd and Company Limited and the CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited.
Well, we'll take a break here, and when we come back, it's weather with Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Well, Carrie-Ann O'Neill is here to tell us what we can expect weather-wise in the coming days. Carrie-Ann.
Good evening to you, Tisha, and good evening, everyone. Well, the ridge pattern was our dominant feature today. We had fair to partly cloudy skies. The winds across the region, they are light to moderate, and convergence maintained some afternoon showers across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 30 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 26 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity, 77%. Those winds are coming in from the east-southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building over in Antigua, St. Lucia, as well as Trinidad. And the winds, they are light to moderate across the islands. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the ridge pattern dominated. As a result, we experienced mainly dry and stable conditions. It was fair to partly cloudy. Meanwhile, the winds generally across the region, they are light to moderate. The seas, moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Later on tonight, the ridge pattern will continue to dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with some showers, mainly after midnight. Now, further south, convergence generated some showers across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, instability maintained, a few showers over Cuba as well as Hispaniola. Elsewhere, the ridge pattern maintained fair to partly cloudy skies, along with just a few passing showers. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 15 minutes after 6 and will set at 7 minutes past 6. Now, the first high tide is expected at 16 minutes after 4 in the early morning and the first low at 10 in the morning. The seas, moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. The winds, they're coming in from the east at 35 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge pattern will dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with some showers, mainly after midnight. And over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds, and showers can be expected.
Well, Pakistan's Champions Trophy campaign ended with a washout as their meeting with Bangladesh was abandoned without a ball being bowled today. Both teams did not get the opportunity to end their disappointing campaigns on a high note due to rain. Tomorrow's match will see Australia against Afghanistan from 5 a.m. Barbados time. Live coverage will be on MCTV's ESPN channel 308. Well, the 2025 edition of the Hearts of Many Aviation Cup is currently underway at the Barbados Football Association Technical Center in Wilde. It's a collaboration between the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. and the HOM Aviation Charity. The one-day event was officially launched this week at the Barbados Coast Guard Base HMBS Pelican. The Aviation Cup includes a mixture of international aviation teams and local teams from British Airways UK, British Airways Barbados, the Barbados Defence Force, O2 Beach, a club by Ocean Hotels, JetBlue, a combined Virgin Atlantic Delta Airways team, and local club Weymouth Wales FC. During the welcome reception, Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Andrea Franklin, said sports and tourism are interlinked.
According to the Barbados physical service in 2024, the island welcomed 12,140 visitors who traveled specifically to participate in or spectate at sporting events. This remarkable figure underscores the increasing global interest in Barbados as a premier sports tourism hub. As we look to the future, we are determined to further strengthen our position on the international stage by actively marketing Barbados as the ideal destination for major sporting events such as this. Through strategic partnerships and targeted investments, we aim to attract high-profile tournaments, particularly during the traditional slower tourism periods. This approach not only enhances our global reputation, but also ensures sustained economic activity year-round.
Well, as we continue to track the competitors for BSAC 2025, tonight's focus is on an athlete who promises to deliver for his school and country.
It's time for Athlete in the Spotlight, where we take a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAC Championship. He won the first of 2 silver medals for Barbados at last year's Carifta Games with a second-place finish in the Under-17 boys shot put event. And there's no doubt that this time around, Jaden Walcott will be a favorite to turn silver into gold. But first, let's find out how this season has been going.
Started off opening season New Year's Classic. I was able to produce a qualifying mark. 17 was a really good start for the PB. January was pretty impressive for me. I was able to hit 18 meters pretty decently, quite a bit a few times. So I was pretty happy to going into projections for Carifta. It's pretty good to see that.
Before he heads to Trinidad and Tobago, Jaden will have to conquer BSAC, and he already outlined his plans.
Looking to break both records in the discus and shot put, working really hard towards it.
How difficult do you think that would be?
The shot put should be pretty okay, but the discus is maybe that challenge.
What do you think you need to do though to achieve that?
Just continue to focus on the cues that my coach give me and work to the best of my ability.
As it relates to Carifta, Jaden is also targeting more success at the regional level.
It's a really good learning experience, going into this thing. It could get myself better prepared mentally because I have faith in my coach to help me, my body-wise, be ready for games, but just gotta get myself mentally prepared. So use that experience from Grenada to go in front of Trinidad.
You've been doing some fantastic distances for sure, very impressive. Talk to me now in terms of second year, under 17. You see yourself as a bit of a favorite now for the events?
I would say so. It's definitely a lot of pressure because in your last year, you're looking to perform your best compared to the first year. I have a lot of big expectations for myself, so just going to keep my head down and work.
Our athlete in the spotlight is Jaden Walcott. That was your athlete in the spotlight, where we took a look at some of the track and field stars expected to dominate at the Power A Dasani BSAC Championships.
And that is my time for sports tonight. Don't forget, we've got more previews for you for the Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup coming your way shortly. Over to you, Tisha.
All right, thank you. Great work you guys are doing in sports. It's wonderful to see our junior athletes really excelling. All right, thanks, Damien. We'll return after this break.
The Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup is upon us. And here's a look at the horses and their connections, vying for that coveted trophy. This is Mounted Glory. Four-time Gold Cup winning owner Gay Smith has a triple chance at making it a 5th win as she has entries in defending champion Portfolio Company, last year's 4th place Jerry the Nipper, and new addition Smoking Tea. Smoking Tea actually goes in touted as the favorite, having competed at varying distances on turf and with the experience of running in some quality races on some of the world's leading tracks like Churchill Downs and Belmont Park. With 7 wins from 25 starts, his biggest claim to date is a $300,000 River City Stakes at Churchill Downs back in 2023 at the Gold Cup distance. Actually, his last start in January of this year saw him beat out his 2 stablemates in a stakes race at Gulfstream in Florida. Taking charge of his training for Saturday's race is Edward Walcott, and he knows Smoking Tea is a quality entry.
He's definitely in form right now. Can't fault him for how he's worked this morning. I know very little about him otherwise than what you see. The trainer is happy with him. They sent him to us to do our job. We'll see how it goes. They're three in the shots.
As mentioned in that trio is Portfolio Company, last year's Gold Cup winner. Despite taking a 10-month layoff after that Gold Cup victory, he has come back looking just as good as he did in 2024. He did run 7th in that stakes at Gulfstream in January, but that is not to his discredit. Last year, under the reins of jockey Antonio Bishop, he got to the post first, and Bishop says this year he's working even better.
This morning I got on him and he was relaxed, and from last year what I feel is a more mature horse this year. He's not as aggressive in the beginning, he's more relaxed on me, which is a good sign.
Jerry the Nipper, while entered in the Gold Cup race, may make a move to the Spa Sprint, but for now has been drawn among the 8 entries for the big one. Having 29 starts, 7 of them wins, the 8-year-old Bay Gelding finished 4th in the 2024 Gold Cup. His last start was 2nd place to Smoking Tea at Gulfstream, and Walcott believes Jerry the Nipper is on his A game.
Jerry's been really nice. He won a really nice race in January. Oh, sorry, I think it was in December he won it, and then he came back and ran 2nd in January. Can't fault Jerry. He's an old horse that just keeps tagging on.
Jerry the Nipper, if he remains in the Gold Cup, will be on the rails out of gate 1. Portfolio Company will go out of gate 4. And Smoking Tea's on the outside out of gate 8. Representing the parishes of St. James, St. Michael, and Christchurch, respectively. That was a look at some of the horses and their connections vying for that coveted Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup. That was Mounted Glory.
Hey, thanks, Anne-Marie. Remember, you can find her at the Garrison on Saturday. She'll be hosting the Gold Cup. We'll be live from 4:30 right here on TV8. That's news. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. We'll see you, God willing, back here, same time, same place tomorrow.